Hey, things in my personal life aren't going so well, and uh, worse than usual, actually. Uh, my 4-year-old niece or 3-year-old niece, I'm not really good at tracking um, time and dates, but she suddenly had some seizures, which put her in the hospital, and she had to have some major surgery, and she's still in the hospital. So, anyways, between that and some other personal issues, um, and altogether feeling very pessimistic and down about what's happening in our world, I decided to uh, be off topic and talk about something I have an interest in, and that is science and physics uh, and so on and so forth. Um, and I just feel I need to do something, and that's not so depressing and heavy. And so this video will concentrate on uh, theories that I have, which are based on some scientific theories and hypotheses. Um, so to get on with it, there is a scientific theory called Philotic strings, and basically, what a Philotic strings is that everything in the universe is has a an invisible thread of energy that connects us. Um, it connects everything, us to each other, us to the very nature, the planet, uh, the stars. Basically, everything in the universe is connected through these Philotic strings. Now, if you take into this into account, the and also let's move on to how there is this the theory, which is anecdotal and as well as having some scientific uh, theory behind it. You have twins who often know, or seem to sense things that are happening to the twin, and often these anecdotal stories, which have some scientific hypothesis behind it, usually it's twins that are separated, or even twins who are still together but do things separately. Yet something will happen, and they know something is happening uh, to their twin. So what the Philotic strings theory would espouse is that because of this interconnectivity through these Philotic strings, that telepathy and this is my theory, that telepathy is telepathy and the I forget the other one other word for it, but basically being able to feel empath and all that other stuff is quite feasible. So the the theory of psychokinesis and all that other stuff has some uh, has some probability in my in my theory, in my assessment, because all matter, everything in the universe is made up of matter, and matter is energy, and we can transfer energy with physical infrastructure and knowledge. So therefore, thereby, if you can do that, then because we are energy and we produce energy, it is quite feasible that we could actually have telepathy. We could actually have empaths, and we could actually have telekinesis and all that other stuff, or psychokinesis, or whatever you want to term it. And of course, you can't generate enough energy within you personally to affect that, but you can gather energy. And when my talking about this is information, but information is energy. So just like how we get information by getting on our smartphones, on our computers, we can access information. Well, one of the things that has scientific as well as medical and biological truth is that we create a very small amount of uh, of uh, of magnetic energy around us, a magnetic field around us. Any matter has a magnetic field around it, and that's a scientific constant. So, and because we're matter, we create and have produce a certain magnetic field. Well, between that and philautic strings, what you can do is, if you know enough, and you can make it so that it's like moving your fingers. You send your information and tell your fingers to move. Well, if you can do that, and then where you don't have to think about it, and you can generate the energy, though, and the and make that magnetic field around you, and you can draw and make it so that it draws in energy around the field, and then you can utilize that energy. You can, and you know enough about how energy and matter and all that other stuff works, then it is quite feasible that you could actually create that fireball that you see in science fiction, uh, as friction and motion and movement and all that uh, is what heat is. And if you can do that, you can increase the speed, the kinetic speed, and all that other stuff to create that heat and create that fireball. So so if you take into all that into consideration, and the fact that because phlotic strings connect everything, you could actually have teleportation. You could actually do a teleportation. You could actually do a lot of stuff. You know, in scientific theories, you have warp speed, you have wormholes, you have you know all that other stuff. And that's basically I think the theory. My theory is that I think creating being able to access wormholes or creating a wormhole path, it's about knowing where those strings are and how to pinpoint those strings so you know where point A and point B of those strings go to. So you could teleport yourself from point A to point B if you know where those phlotic strings are. And by drawing in energy around the magnetic field that we all have, and amplifying it, thereby sending out feelers through the energy, you could actually map those phlotic strings. Because phlotic strings are basically energy that you just can't see. Like we can't see air, but we know it's there. So, and photons, which is which is an element of light. Photons particles are interesting because they can basically pass through anything, solid matter, and so on and so forth. So, we can, if you know enough about it, you can actually create sort of like a photonic pathway that tracks these phlotic string networks, and you could map it out. So you could do teleportation. You could, and if you know enough, you could actually create a wormhole to pass the physical infrastructure through, like a starship, thereby negating a lot of the physics laws that and the natural laws that make it difficult for us to use conventional forms of propulsion. Anyways, I don't know how much of this is making sense. I just felt I needed to do something to help me be more grounded and centered. I just have the need to do that, and so this is just this is really just for shits and giggles, and no, not even that. Actually, it's more to try to give out some information because it's all interconnected. Yeah? And the more we know, the more aware we are, and the more aware we are, the more awake we are, and this broadens our imaginations and can give us more aspirations. So, yeah, anyways, It's just it may be fun for some of you to get to this. I personally find a sense of I don't know. I get a. Anyways, I hope. Doesn't matter. Thanks for your time.